In Israel's political theater, few figures have stood closer to Benjamin Netanyahu than Ron Dermer, diplomat, strategist, and architect behind some of Israel's most sensitive negotiations, from Washington corridors to the heart of the Gaza ceasefire. His sudden resignation, tendered with calm language about family and duty fulfilled, has sent ripples through Tel Aviv and beyond. Was this simply the closing chapter of a long public service, or the first shake of a deeper political shift inside Israel? As mediators scramble to preserve talks over Gaza's future, his departure raises pressing questions. What does Ron Dermer's departure mean for peace efforts in Gaza, US-Israeli relations, and the internal stability of Netanyahu's government? The episode explores these questions in depth. Ron Dermer, after resigning as Israel's Minister of Strategic Affairs, may take on a new informal role akin to that of Steve Witkoff, a behind-the-scenes envoy for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Jerusalem Post stated that this role would involve no formal title, but would allow Dermer to act as a key intermediate and envoy to diplomatic and strategic matters for Netanyahu. Dermer's vast experience, especially in detainee negotiations and strategic affairs, position him well to continue influencing policy and negotiations discreetly. This transition mirrors how Witkoff has operated, exerting influence and facilitating crucial talks without holding official government posts. Dermer's move reflects a potential new phase of service, maintaining close ties with Netanyahu while working outside formal government roles. Ron Dermer, long-time confidant of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and key architect of Israeli foreign policy, has resigned as Israel's Strategic Affairs Minister. According to the Haaretz, Dermer, known as Netanyahu's foreign policy brain and the Trump administration's main point man in Israel, officially stepped down after serving 3 years, citing a prior commitment to his family to serve only 2 years, extended twice to address critical challenges. During his tenure, Dermer played a pivotal role in reshaping Middle East diplomacy, including orchestrating Netanyahu's 2015 U.S. congressional speech against the Iran nuclear deal and influencing U.S. support for a strike against Iran's nuclear facilities. Although stepping down from his ministerial role, Dermer will continue as a social and special envoy for Netanyahu, remaining involved in some strategic matters. Netanyahu publicly thanked Dermer for his significant contributions and anticipated his future role. Tonight on In Depth, we unpack the resignation of Ron Dermer, Netanyahu's longtime confidant and key negotiator during the Gaza war, whose departure, according to multiple sources including Reuters and Hamas, could reshape Israel's diplomatic map. To help us understand the motives, timing, and implications of this move, we are joined by Adel Mahmoud, Israeli affairs expert from Cairo, and Ratiba Nacha, Palestinian National Action Community member from occupied Jerusalem. A very warm welcome to both our distinguished guests. Mr. Mahmoud, to begin, how significant is Ron Dermer's resignation and Israel's current political climate? And many observers cite personal reasons, as he stated. In your reading, could there be deeper political motives behind this timing?
Good evening to you and to everyone who's watching. Of course, here with this is shown as a resignation, but I think it is a political move, and it is very clear from the indicators that the internal strain started with what's called a Trump plan, and I thought that this would happen from the very beginning, and it is very apparent now that here Israel is working with them on the Gaza agreement, or even to end Iran's nuclear tests. And I think that things are starting to take a new turn that has that we've seen today, a so-called resignation, and then a U.S.-Israeli intervention. Also, we have this, and so I think that editing the plan through the UN, or having an emergency plan, as they mentioned, I think that these are all leading to some kind of a fracture or strain, or to it is in simple terms stalling phase 2 of Trump's plan, and because it shows that there are some kind of conflict with the US, not just with disarming Hamas, but also on who will govern Gaza. And so yeah, things are starting to be very clear now with phase 2 nearing of Trump's plan, and there are some fears here from the UN, saying that things could go from Gaza to beyond this, and there might be more escalations in Lebanon, for example. And yes, things are Gaza and that's stable, and things will go back to the bottom, basically, to point zero. We have escalations and violations daily in Gaza, as if it was agreed upon. But what's more important is what happens after the resignation. Will there be Israeli steps that will hinder or derail the plan and any efforts toward Gaza? And so, yes, as we know, the US president is a supporter of Netanyahu. They are very close, and there are escalations, as I said.
Got your point, sir, Ms. Nacha. Given Dermer's close relationship with Netanyahu, do you see this as a strain within the Prime Minister's inner circle? And of course, given that the Jerusalem Post stated that Ron Dermer, after resigning as Israel's Minister of Strategic Affairs, may take on a new informal role akin to that of Steve Witkoff, a behind-the-scenes envoy for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Your narrative, please.
Actually, opposite to most of the Israeli journalists and politics who talk about letting Netanyahu in the middle of nowhere, and another one from his circle is letting him in the middle of this war. But I think that Dermer has a plan, an exit plan for Netanyahu from this ceasefire agreement, and a new plan with the United States to make like a P plan or plan P if this initiative of Trump fold. And it will,
Ms. Nacho,
as I
sorry
see,
here to
because
interrupt you, but I just want to confirm that you mean that the intention of his resignation is or applies to what the Jerusalem Post wrote, that he will not be away from the scene, he will be still inside the scene.
he will not be out of the scene. He will create a new scene out of Trump initiative by having an exit path for Netanyahu to find a new plan for Gaza with the United States without a new agreement for Gaza and ruling Gaza, not the agreement of the ceasefire, because Netanyahu have no will to continue to the second phase of this agreement, and he will stick on what he achieved on Gaza by this agreement till now, the yellow line, and controlling like half Gaza Strip. It's 53% of Gaza Strip, and creating a de facto in this case, and controlling the Gaza Strip, and find a future for Gaza with the United States, way far away from the agreement that was held and will not be continued. And Dermer is maybe the main player in this plan and this negotiation with the United States out of this agreement, ceasefire agreement, and the Trump initiative, 20 points initiative, to another
Then why did
plan.
he resign if he's going to be why isn't it out loud, and he is a minister in Netanyahu's government? Why did he resign? What's the reason behind his resignation?
This will give him more space to work without the control of the government, Netanyahu government, and he can work like individual and make more unseen, maybe for the Netanyahu government itself and the Israeli community, and without the scene of the formal Israeli government uh, during the negotiation with the United States administration. And I think this is what they are planning to find like a front no, sorry, it's not front door, it's opposite. It's they want to find a back door for them to exit from it, from this agreement. And till that moment they need someone that have a space to work out of the scene and the control of Netanyahu government, and the opposite of this Netanyahu as well. So, and if they achieve something, it will be a victory for Netanyahu. And if they didn't achieve anything, no one will know about this agreements and this try, and it will be in the drawer as other plans and other agreements with the United States
Got your point,
government.
Ms. Ratiba. Mr. Mahmoud, Dermer's departure comes, of course, amidst coalition tensions. Could this embolden far-right ministers to push harder against ceasefire compromises?
I think that the resignation doesn't really have consequences on the coalition or the Israeli politics, unless they have something to complicate the scene here. And so, as I mentioned, this is no ordinary man. He had so much to do, backdoor planning. We don't know what pushed him to resign. But if Netanyahu's government have any political was that they're awaiting, or if they have any intention of implementing the second phase of the agreement, we would have seen far right officials resigning as well. But this man is very close to Netanyahu. But if Israel does this officially and politically, then it is very clear that they are breaching the agreement. And yeah, now the strip is a US influenced zone. Things are escalating with the Palestinian cause. This for the first time, Israel has allowed any foreign interventions to come into their affairs. And yeah, we know that they want to take advantage of resources in Gaza. They want to have their settlements there. And so yes, if all the plans of the Israeli government it is successful, maybe they will go to other conflict zones as well under the umbrella of a peace plan from the US. If they could take control of the strip, and if they could use the resources. I noticed this while reading. They will have yeah, as I said, foreign monitoring, and so we are witnessing new escalations in the Palestinian cause. But did they think that the Palestinian cause is still a conflict cause? I think that the U.S. attempt will not survive. But are there international conflicts? Yes, of course they are, and this is what they're using. They are manipulating the conflict between the USA and China, for example, and they are trying to take advantage of their resources. And yeah, that they
Okay, sir,
want
got
to
your
have.
point, and I'll leave it there. I'll be back again. Miss Nacha, how does this resignation affect Israel's handling of the Gaza ceasefire agreement and ongoing detainee negotiations, and your narrative on his resignation?
Actually, can you say the question again?
Of course
I
I
didn't
can.
get.
Miss Nacha, how does the resignation of Dermer affect Israel's handling of the Gaza ceasefire agreement and ongoing detainee negotiations? Is it a pro or a con?
For the detainee negotiation, I think that they end up with it because Israel now have all the living detainees, and they have just two bodies left, dead bodies left. So they achieved like more than 90% of their goals of returning back the Israeli prisoners at all. So, and this is the main issue that Netanyahu is seeking from the beginning of this war. And there's no need for Netanyahu to implement any kind of agreements in Gaza Strip or to stick to the ceasefire agreement anymore. There's no pressure on his government, and there's no pressure from the really pressure from the United States or from any outsider and insider parties to push him to keep this ceasefire. And I think that he is planning to find a way to return not the war on Gaza, because maybe he is tired enough from this war
He's
and
already
paid a
bombing
lot
and striking
of it,
every day. He
but
didn't
to
stop
have
yet.
a control and a new de facto in Gaza Strip with a new plan to control Gaza Strip. So I think that this the Dermer timing of raising from this government, it's a perfect time for Netanyahu, and it will not affect his future plans anymore.
It will not affect the future plans of Dermer or Netanyahu.
From Netanyahu, not the, yeah, of course, for Netanyahu. But I think that if that's not the will of the United States, and I don't think so, maybe it may make some conflict between a Trump administration and Netanyahu government. But I think that United States till now is not putting enough effort for the security, for the statable forces, establishing it, or for the CMCC, the Civil Military Coordinating Center, that it's not established yet because a lot of obstacles that Israel is putting, and now they are seeking a new way through the United States to have like a resolution from the United States for putting a framework for the forces, international forces in Gaza Strip. On the other hand, Israel is not accepting any kind of international involving in Gaza Strip, including any involvement or appearance of international forces inside Gaza. So I think that still there's many obstacles in front of the United States, even in implementing either of the plans, nor the CMCC coordinating center in Israel, or nor on having any kind of a final resolution to implement to the United Nations, and take like a resolution from the United Nations that put a framework for this international forces, because Israel is not accepting any kind of international uh, role in Gaza Strip, and they want to control the Gaza Strip. Because of all of these things, still I insist that Dermer timing is perfect for Netanyahu for getting out from all of these agreements, and put a new de facto in Gaza Strip, on Gaza Strip, controlling Gaza Strip, and find a new way with the United States to control Gaza without any international forces or international appearance in the scene.
Okay, Mr. Mahmoud, to what extent was Dermer a stabilizing force during the most volatile stages of the Gaza war?
Uh, I hope that we don't really stop here. His personality is most important. There is a political conflict that will get more intense on who will govern Gaza, not just on from Israel and the U.S., but no, actually from the Palestinian side, from the Arab side. They don't agree on who should govern. They haven't agreed on who should govern Gaza, and yeah, the Arab countries don't want to have these foreign forces uh, in control of Gaza. And so, yes, here we have an indicator that the absence of a person here, even if Witkoff still has left some unclear things, I think that um, Dermer actually had a role in bringing point of views together between Israel and the USA, and even with the Iran 12-day war. What we should look at here are these, is this an indicator, is the resignation an indicator that we will have a gap in the point of views between Israel and the USA? And yes, this will happen because Israel wants to have their project of greater Israel, and the USA has their peace plan, and it contradicts with uh, Israel's plans, of course, in the West Bank and taking control of a part of Gaza. And so, yes, will we witness a two-state solution? The U.S. has talked about this before, and so I think that all the statements from the U.S. actually contradict with what Netanyahu wants, and we have seen uh, Israel having this some kind of peace with Syria. And so, yes, the U.S. actually doesn't know how to end the conflict once and for all. They can intervene in and have agreements, but when it comes to reality and to imposing their plans, they fail at this. Actually, they don't know how to hold up an agreement, and there is this kind of political betrayal here, with that there is some kind of betrayal here when it came to Netanyahu's plans. We so any forces in Gaza that we are waiting for. We don't have early reconstruction or early hearing as Egypt has planned, and so Israel didn't really offer the Palestinian civilians anything yet. And actually, what's more important here, will the Palestinians accept the new forces? What are their duties? What are their rights? And so this is a reflection of the fracture between Israel and the USA on who will govern Gaza. And I think that things will go like an ice ball, and it will keep getting bigger and bigger, and Trump's plan will fail. And maybe Netanyahu will use this to show that the USA didn't really put things in place and change things, and will take this to their advantage in Gaza, in Lebanon, and so on. And so if we have reforms, what will happen, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen from Witkoff or from Dermer, who just resigned. I don't think that a full-on war won't return back to Gaza, because the USA knows that Israel accepted this only because of the pressure, but they didn't really agree to the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement fully. They just accepted it for now. And so yes, just after we have finished phase one, then we have the statements about resignations and so on, and I think that this is all very well planned.
Ms. Nacha, Dermer was seen as a trusted interlocutor for Washington. Does his absence weaken Israel's communication line with the Trump administration, Ms. Nacha, considering, of course, that during his tenure, Dermer played a pivotal role in reshaping Middle East diplomacy, including orchestrating Netanyahu's 2015 U.S. congressional speech against the Iran nuclear deal and influencing U.S. support for a strike against Iran's nuclear facilities, which means that he had a very strong influence on the United States and on Benjamin Netanyahu?
I think that Dermer will not let Netanyahu behind, and he will support Netanyahu as much as he could, and maybe he is finding a new path to use his these relations and strength in the United States for the benefit of Netanyahu in the next stage or in the next period. Now, in a new strategy and a new way behind the scenes. And I don't think that he is letting Netanyahu, and this is what I'm sure from it, but he liked to change his position, to change his tools and methods in supporting Benjamin Netanyahu, because this is the way of Netanyahu and his friends, let's say, a way of thinking and ideologic thinking about using power in the United States. And we know the powerful IPAC that Israel benefit from it in the United States. And I think that Dermer has a very long-term relation with the IPAC association in the United States, from his position as he was the ambassador of Israel in the United States for a very long time. So I think he will use his diplomatic relations and his influence on the IPAC in the United States to support Benjamin Netanyahu and to find an exit way from the Trump 20 points initiatives for Gaza Strip, for another plan which benefit Benjamin Netanyahu for the most, especially if they are going for a new election very near and very soon in Israel. And Netanyahu, he needs a new victory and a new scenes of good relation with the United States without any
Got
kind
your
of
point,
conflict.
Ms. Nacha, and I'm very
Yes.
sorry I have to wrap up this episode now. I'm out of time. Thank you very much, Ms. Ratiba and Nacha, for sharing, and of course, Mr. Mahmoud, for sharing your insights on what could prove one of the most consistent resignations in Israel's recent political history. This brings us to the end of today's episode for In Depth. Thank you very much for watching us, and stay tuned for more updates on Qnews.